Hi, this is Brent from Frame It All, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own custom raised garden bed in the Design It All app. So the first thing that we want to do is make sure in the bottom left that the Show Grid option is on. When clicked off, you'll just see the grass, but for building purposes, showing the grid is very helpful. And we're going to make sure that the Snap to Grid option is highlighted orange. This makes it so when we drag a board onto the field, the endpoints will snap to the different grid points. This will make it so that we can more easily line up our boards to be straight with each other and also set up exact 90-degree angles. So the first thing that I did here is I went to the Raised Beds Draw Your Own category and I dragged a board onto the field. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to be making a 4x4 here, and we're going to make it 2 levels high. So let's start off by dragging our boards on, and they'll snap right there. Now, to keep the orientation of the board, you can drag it by the center of the board. This will make it so that it doesn't rotate. And if you want to rotate this board so that it's facing a different way, you simply click on the bracket and then drag it from that point. Now that this board is lined up, we can just drag this and connect it with the others. And repeat this process one more time to finish off our first level of our 4x4. We'll snap to the grid and drag it over. So now to go to the second level, we want to go to the green bar and the layer tool. We're currently on layer 1. If we hit the plus symbol, it'll bring up our grid, and now we can build on the next layer. So here we go, dragging them onto the field, and you can tell when they're about to connect by the yellow highlights. This means that you're in a connection place at that point, and we'll drag this one on. And right here, you see that as we drag it on, our structure was actually changing a little bit. So just so we can prevent that, I'm going to use the stake tool and click each of our joints. This will make it so that while we're building, if we drag around the structure, it won't move at all. So let's bring on our last board, rotate this around, and connect it in. Now that our 4x4 is made, we're going to add some dirt and add some plants. So on the green action bar, we're going to select the dirt tool and just click on the center of our structure. This dirt tool is really useful for when you have enclosed structures and you want to see how your raised garden bed design might look with a couple bits of plants. So in the plants category, we're going to select from the agricultural category on the left, and we're going to introduce some strawberry plants. So we'll bring 2 strawberry plants in the front and some chili peppers in the back. And we'll make 3 chili peppers. Let's see if I can rotate and add this third one here. And now you might have noticed that there's this blue bar appearing over these. This is if you want to increase the size of the plant that you've dragged on. So all you have to do is left click that blue bar and move your mouse up and down, and that'll change the size of the plant that you placed for a little bit of variety. If you right click this bar and drag up and down, it'll either sync your plant or bring it up to its highest position. So I'm going to shrink this pepper plant a little bit, and maybe this one as well, and maybe make this one a little bit smaller. Alright, now that we have our plants in here, let's add some accessory kits. So in the gray action bar, we'll go to the accessories, and we have a couple different options. Here we're going to add first an animal barrier and drag this on. So just drag it onto the field and that should auto snap. And then we're going to rotate our view by holding down the right click and moving our mouse. This will allow us to change the camera angle that we're looking at. And the reason that I've done this here is that when we drag an animal barrier onto the screen, it'll stay straight from where we took it from our view. So having this board lined up with this green bar here, when we drag it on, it'll be perfectly lined up and we can just snap it right on. Now we're going to rotate it back and we are going to drag on some veggie walls. So we'll drag on 1, drag on 2, and so these veggie walls will allow us to grow some taller plants, maybe some snap peas. Let's just get this to connect here and see. When you're connecting these, you want to try to line them up as best as possible as you drag them on. so that you get the proper snap. So now that the structure is complete with our animal barrier and veggie wall, now we're going to make a 4x4 with a greenhouse attachment. And this time we're going to do it a little bit differently in a little bit of a faster way. So the first thing that I want to do is select the freeze tool, click on the structure, and what this will do is now we can move this structure around without it changing shape. So we're just going to drag it to the side here. Whoop, we took off our animal barrier for a second. And let's just move it over a little bit. And along with that, we're also going to change where our camera is. So before I showed you, holding down the right click will rotate your camera around your current point. So now to change your point of view, you hold down your scroll wheel button, and you click it down, and then you drag your mouse, and this will allow you to drag your camera as well. So before we use the raised beds draw your own category to drag boards onto the field, this time we're going to use our raised bed sets category, and this will have some pre-built shapes. There's a couple of different categories we can choose from: the basic shapes, squared, curves, circles, and then corners, stars, and miscellaneous. So since we wanted a 4x4, we can either go to the basic shapes or the squared section. We're just going to take it from the basic shapes, and all you have to do is you can either drag it onto the field and place it, or you can just click. Now here you might notice this is actually floating. That's because I forgot to change my building layer back to layer 1. So we're still on layer 2 here, so I'm just going to go to the bottom right here and click the undo button to get rid of that. And now let's bring that back down to layer 1. And once again, we can just click, and our 4x4 will be dragged right onto the field. So for this one, we want a 3 level, but instead of having to drag it on each time, all we have to do is click it one more time, and then once again. So now we have a 4x4 3 level, and it was quite a bit faster than our other design that we dragged the boards individually. So this is a really useful tool if you're building a raised garden bed design that includes some of these basic shapes. If you're doing a custom design, then you'll probably have to drag on the individual boards, but if you're doing something with squares, rectangles, or your basic circles, you can definitely use this to help speed along your build. So we're going to go ahead and freeze this structure, and we're just going to drag it a little bit closer to us. Maybe change our camera angle a little bit, get a little closer. And now we're going to once again hit the dirt tool to fill in our structure. And this time we're going to go back to the plants category, and we're going to put in some small plants. Maybe if we go to the home garden, we'll put in some broccoli plants and maybe a couple cabbages. And we're going to make this broccoli bigger, because why not? So now with our abnormally large broccoli and cabbage, let's go to the accessories and let's add a greenhouse so that we can extend our growing season a little bit. So like the other accessory kits, all you have to do is drag it onto the field, and it should auto connect once it's lined up with your structure. So this is looking pretty good now, and I think the last thing I want to add is just a worm-it-all box right inside here in the center, and this will just help attract the worms so I can enrich my soil with some of their castings. Well, I thought we were all done, but I forgot to do the most crucial part, and that is to save my work. So unfortunately, I left the browser without first saving, and I'm left with nothing. But in the future, what I'll do is when I have my structure, I'll go to the top of the screen and hit the save button. This will bring up an FIA file in the bottom left of my browser that I can save directly into my computer. This way, the next time that I come back to the Design It All app, I can click the load button, find the .fia file that I saved previously, and load it right back in so I can pick up right where I left off. In addition to that, when I click the screenshot button, it'll just let me know exactly what I built here. It'll make it a lot easier and save me a lot of time the next time I want to pick up where I left off.